Welcome to another MechWorks PDM quick introduction. Today we're going to look at managing Inventor iParts and iAssemblies within the MechWorks PDM. My name is Glenn. I'll be your presenter today. And we're going to go straight into the Inventor product with the MechWorks PDM seamlessly integrated within it. So the user is now going to quickly create a base part. With this part, he's going to define the labels and values that will be referenced later on that determine the different iPart instances. So for instance here, we're going to enter depth equals 5, width equals 6. And we'll just zoom out on this. And what we're going to do now is define the length. And we just do a couple other things here. Select OK. Now the next thing the user wants to do is add some features to this that help easily visualize the different iParts that we're going to create. So for instance, you can go into here, and the first thing to do is put a hole through there, and we'll select OK. Then perhaps they can go into here and add an extrusion to this. There. And then perhaps add another. We'll put this here. Select OK. So now the user's created a base part, and it has the defined values for the width, depth, and length, and it also has the 3 features to easily visualize the different iParts. So now what the user is going to do is go ahead and save this part. So just select Save. This will present the user with the automatic numbering formats. Now this is something that your administrator would configure for everybody and create these different formats dependent upon the numbering criteria that you need within your organization. You may only have one format, you could have many formats. In this case, the user is going to select base part and select OK. This is going to provide the user with the next sequential number, and in this case, I'm going to add in here XX. This is a way that the user can clearly see that this is a base part. And in the description, we'll also put in base part and select OK. This will provide the user now with the record card. So it has the ID number or file name in there, has the description in there, it has the properties for this part, and we're going to select OK. So now the user has created the base part and they've saved it within the MechWorks PDM and it's registered in there. If we go to the MechWorks PDM browser, we can see that this is the base part that was created just now. So the next thing the user wants to do is create the iParts. So just as you would normally do with the Inventor product, go to Manage, and we'll go Create iParts. And you can see here the values that were entered, the depth, the width, and the length. The other thing a user wants to perhaps add in here would be the description. Now the other thing we want to do with this is, because we want to have one iPart with a hole, one iPart with a circle extrusion, and one iPart with a hex extrusion, we can add those over here. Like so. And the first thing I want to do here is just show that this is my base part. And now what we can do is we can add the iParts to this. So we're going to select on here, and we're going to go insert a row, go to the next one, insert a row, and the next one, and insert a row. So now what the user wants to show is to just go in here, and we'll make that 01, and we'll make this one 02, this one 03, and this one 03. And also what we can do here is now change these lengths, perhaps. So we'll say this one is 9 inches, this one's 10 inches, this one's 11. And then on this description, if we pull this out a bit, we can say base part 01, 02, 03. So now we have the iParts in here with the part number that we want, and the length that we want, and a description we want. So finally, all we want to do here is perhaps go into here, and we'll say on this first one we want the hole, but we don't want the extrusion, the round extrusion, and we don't want the hex one. And then perhaps on this next one, obviously we don't want the hole, and we don't want the hex. And finally, on the last one, we just want to show the hex. So with this, what we've done is we've made it so that it's very easy visually for everybody to see the differences between the different iParts that are just created. The other thing we're going to do right now is that we're going to go in here, say with the part number, and we're going to select key and select 1. So what this does for each instance is it provides an easy way to find and add an explicit part into an assembly. And we'll look at that a little bit later on when we create the assembly. So we're just going to quickly put that there, and we're going to also use the description here. And we're going to select OK. So now if we look at the table over here, we can see that this is the base part, and it has the hole and the 2 extrusions. So if we go to the first one that we have here, just as the hole, the next one has just this extrusion, and the third one has the hex. So it makes it a lot easier for this presentation for everybody to see exactly what's going on with these. Right now, all that's happened is we've created them here in Inventor, but we haven't actually created the actual documents yet. Let's quickly go back to the MechWorks PDM browser, and we'll look at this. So in here, we still just have the base part. We haven't actually gone ahead and generated those files yet. So let's go ahead and do that now. So the user will select these 3, and right mouse select and say generate the files. And this will go through and generate each one of those files for the user. So if we now go and actually look at the MechWorks PDM browser here, these are the 3 iParts that we just generated, and you can see that they're now automatically registered into the MechWorks PDM. Also, with each one of these now, they have their own record card with all the relevant information on this individual part within that record card. So let's just close that. And the next thing the user wants to do now is actually create a drawing for this. So the user is going to just go to File, New, select the drawing format that they want to use. And in this case, this one has been created by the administrator to have certain areas that are automatically populated as the drawing is saved. So let's select this, and we'll select Create. So we just quickly add a couple of views on here that the user wants. Select OK. So the next thing the user can do now is go ahead and add the table to this particular drawing. So just go to Annotate, select the General Table, select the view, and here the user can define exactly what they want to have on that table. So for instance, we don't need member, but we want the depth, the length, the width, and we want to move the part number to the top. We will select OK, select OK, and then the user can place that on the actual drawing itself. And if we just zoom in here real quickly, perhaps they don't want to have that base part on here. So obviously they can go through, take that off. And here they've created the drawing. So now what the user is going to do is save this drawing. And with the MechWorks PDM, this drawing by default is automatically associated with the part. So it automatically inherited the ID or the file name, but obviously with the drawing extension, and it inherited the description. A quick look down here, and you can see it's got the title, the part number, all the relevant information in there. And if we actually go to the MechWorks PDM browser again real quickly here, we can see that here's our base part and here's that drawing automatically associated with that base part. So now what the user is going to do is create the assembly. So we'll just quickly close this, and we'll close this. And now the user is going to go ahead here and create the base assembly, then creating the iAssemblies. So real quickly here, we're going to go ahead and place in the parts that we want to place on this assembly. So you notice here that the MechWorks PDM is integrated here, so it's given a list of the individual parts that the user wants to enter into this assembly. And if the user selects on one of these parts, it's going to give the user a preview of that part as well. So we can select this one and place that on the assembly. Perhaps put a couple of them in there. Go again and place another one. Select OK, put a couple of those in there. We'll go again, place, and we'll select this one, and we can put, say, 2 of those on there. Now the other thing with this assembly as well is that if the user goes in here and selects place, and we go to the base part here and we select OK, this is where those key values that we put in can come into use. For instance, the user obviously could go in here and select whichever one of these and select a different part based on that key value. Or what they could do is go into here, same with the description, and go in here and pick this on the criteria of which description of which part they want to have. So that's the reason why the user entered in those key values. So the user has all of the parts in the assembly that they want to have, and again they will now go through and save this assembly. The user will be presented with the automatic numbering formats. Going to select the base assembly, select OK. I'm going to enter XX to show that this is a base assembly. And I'm also going to put in here base assembly and select OK. So this again will present the user with a record card, and it's going to have the next sequential number, the XX to show this is my base assembly, and a description in there, and the user can select OK here. So now the user has their base assembly created, and just like normal, the user can go ahead and create the iAssemblies by selecting Manage, go to Create iAssembly, and here again, the user can go ahead and put together the information they want to have for each one of these iAssemblies. So for instance, if you go to Properties, and one of the things the user wants to have on here is the description. So we'll put that over there. And then perhaps on the components, we're going to add some of these. And really all the need for this particular example that we're doing here is just a couple of these. So we'll keep the table smaller. And we're going to select these and add these in over here. So the table replace, go down to the next one. Get the idea. Last one. And let's just extend this description a little bit so we can see what's going on. So now we have the basis here, and now we can add the different iAssemblies that we want in here. First of all, I'm just going to go in here and show that this is my base. And we can go ahead and start adding some of these. So insert a row. So this will be this first one, go do another one, and we'll do a third. And again, what the user is going to do now is just clean this up a little bit. I want this to be O1. Change this to O1, O2. Same with the 3 here, and this one. And again, we can change the description. So we'll call this one a base assembly O1, O2, O3. Now the next thing we can notice here is that the user has the option to say which parts are included in these individual iAssemblies. So very simply, they could go to this one here and say, you know what, exclude that one and exclude that one. And then perhaps on this next one, they could go in here and say, exclude that one. And on this one, we'll say, exclude that one. And this one. Also, note here that the user could go into here and actually change which iPart or which part they're actually putting in onto this assembly. We're just going to leave that like that. And then I think we have everything the way the user wants it. So the user can just now say, OK. And again, this now created the table. And if we look at the table here, there's this assembly, then this assembly, and then this assembly. And we can go back to the main base assembly. Now, just like before with the iParts, with the iAssemblies, we have not yet registered and generated those files into the MechWorks PDM. So if we go to the MechWorks PDM, open up for the browsing here, we can see that we have the assembly here, that base assembly, but we don't have any of the other iAssemblies in there yet. So what we're going to do is go back and we'll select the 3 of these and go ahead and generate those assemblies. So now if we go to the MechWorks PDM browser again, we can see that we now have those 3 iAssemblies registered into the MechWorks PDM. Now, one of the advantages of having this in the MechWorks PDM is obviously visually you can see these assemblies, but it's very quick and very easy now for a user to select any one of these assemblies and say output an Excel bill of material. We'll select this one, select OK. And here you can see it has the bill of material with the quantities, an image on it, the information about each one of those parts. You will notice here that with the MechWorks PDM, you can define whether a part, whether you make it or you buy it. In this case, it's showing the base assembly because it's relationship with the iAssembly, and it's going to show here that it's not part of your bill of material. So this information can quickly be outputted as an Excel file or shared with your ERP, MRP. Okay, so here we've covered managing Inventor iParts and iAssemblies within the MechWorks PDM. The key points to remember here is that MechWorks PDM is going to automatically register those iParts and those iAssemblies into the MechWorks PDM as and when they're generated. It's going to give a visual preview of all the iParts and also the assemblies. It's going to allow each one of those to be quickly searched and found within the MechWorks PDM. When you're generating an assembly, it makes it very easy for the user to visualize and see the parts that you're putting into those assemblies. Each one of these now has its own record card. It makes it very easy to have all that information at the user's fingertips. And then on top of that, you can quickly generate the bill of materials, whether it's as an Excel file or pushing and pulling the information to an ERP, MRP, SAP. One last thing the user is going to do here is quickly select this iAssembly, go into here and create the drawing, select the format that they want. We just drop the views in here real quickly. Select OK. We'll go ahead and select Save. It's going to take the ID or the file name from the iAssembly, automatically populate the description. We'll select OK. Then the user can go ahead here, select this view, insert the bill of material, select the type of bill of material that they want to have in here, and we're going to select just the parts, select OK. That'll place that on the drawing where the user wants it, and perhaps we could put it up here, and then we can zoom in and look at that real quickly, and we can see it has the items that are in this iAssembly and the bill of material that the user wants. Quick look at the title block here. We can see that he put the description, the base assembly 01, the part number, and all the relevant information the user needs in there. Okay, so what the user is going to do now is just go back to the PowerPoint and finish up the presentation. Well, I want to thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please let us know. We would welcome the opportunity to provide a full product demonstration detailed to your organization's needs. Give us a call at 1-800-573-6183, extension 701. Email us at sales@na-ips.com or see us on the web at www.na-ips.com. This is Glenn, and thank you for your time. Until next time, goodbye.